Philadelphia School District is the graduation rate. And the one thing we want to talk about through the panel discussion is how we can facilitate and increase the graduation rate amongst all the student athletes in Philadelphia and beyond, and just get some feedback from you guys, get your opinions, and also for our panelists to give you guys their insights from either their playing days, from things that they've been through, things that they've seen. So today what we have from here, I'll just go from right to left. We have Dr. H. Gene Wright. Dr. Wright is a on-call behavioral psychologist, works here with the city of Philadelphia. Next is Jared Brabham. Jared Brabham is a Temple University football player, defensive tackle, sophomore, junior this year? Yeah, don't be scared to clap. Don't be scared to clap. It's just interactive. And this is Coach Brett Dunlap, been a good friend of mine for the last 2-3 years now. Brett Dunlap recently coached at Berean Institute Junior College, the first junior college here in Philadelphia. And he's also, a great role model for a lot of guys. He's originally from Jersey, migrated over here to Philadelphia now. Obviously, his son is up there, Trent. Then we have head football coach, Damon Warren from Barton High School. You get a high school coach's perspective. Then Brian Dozier. Brian Dozier is actually a former Penn State football alumni who is gracious enough to come and give his insight, things that he's done from in his playing days, things that he's noticed a lot from Philadelphia, and what his take is on how to support education sports. And then last but not least is Russ Jackson. Russ is actually the NCAA compliance program manager for the school district of Philadelphia. So we're going to use, we have 2 microphones that we're going to use. The one that I have here, and then I'll pass it around. We've got questions. Everyone's going to have questions. And then the panelists have a microphone up front. But the first thing we want to try to get some insight on is, of course, one, how you guys felt about the movie. There was, for the most part, there was some giggling, some laughing. There was some good parts to laugh about. There was obviously some parts to have some inherent emotions about. But how did anybody have any responses on how the movie was? Anybody have anything want to say about the movie itself? I'm coming. Yes, I'm going to come to you.
My name is Tim, and I'm from Benjamin Franklin High School. And it was basically a nice movie. It was like an inspirational type of movie, for like us young teenagers or whatever, especially with football and stuff like that. So it gives us a nice inspiration and look at life and what comes with it in sports.
For many of our panelists, just grab a microphone there. How did you guys feel the movie itself portrayed? How was it portrayed to you? How did you feel about the movie? How do you think that comparison, or is there any similarities to any, like the school district of Philadelphia or student athletes in general? Anybody can pick up the mic there? It's in front of Brett, so I can see it from here.
One, there were a lot of similarities in the movie from my experience dealing with young football players or young athletes here in Philadelphia. One of the points that I like to talk about was he created an atmosphere which helped him to be successful. Regardless if you're from Elvira, Philadelphia, New Jersey, regardless where you are in life, if you create an atmosphere, your atmosphere is where you are. So regardless of where you are, you're going to be successful. He created a successful atmosphere, so whatever playing field that he went to, whether it was West Virginia, the Cotton Bowl down in Texas, he made himself successful and his surroundings successful. That was one of the things I like to point out and we want to keep in mind here in Philadelphia.
I guess in my life, looking at that movie and seeing some of the things that took place with Ernie Davis, back in the 60s. I'm not that old, I'm only 42. However, and I was just telling the brothers to be on the panel, attending John Barsham High School and even Pepper Middle School prior to that, there was a lot of discrimination going on back in the mid-70s and even the early 80s at that time that we had to overcome. I tell my young men at Barsham all the time, don't take these opportunities you have for granted, because there was a lot of people that came before you that had to pave the way to give you the opportunity to do the things you're allowed to do. Just being able to simply walk to Barsham football field right now to practice football was something that even back when I went to school that you had to be protected, had to walk with a crowd of people, because there were individuals at that time that did not want you to be there. So, but still, in spite of, many of us came through that environment and were very successful. And I see here today as one of those individuals.
Yeah, that was a very valid point that Coach just brought up about knowing that there were people before you that did things to make sure that you could even have the experiences that you're having now. So I'm not going to reiterate that, but what I will point out from the movie is the fact that it came out at the end of the movie, but he realized that there was other things besides football. Although he did football well, he put everything he had into football. He brought out the fact that there's other things besides the sports that you're involved with. So football is important, but the other things, and we're talking about, I wrote this down, how can we enhance the grad rate here in the city? One thing I need to point out, I'm from Chester, Pennsylvania, not Philadelphia, but I love this whole area, but I just wanted to point out I am from Chester. But with that in mind, it is important that you keep focused on not just your sport, not just football, but the classroom as well, to get to that graduation rate that we're looking for. One story I want to tell, and then I'll pass the mic. My nephew, he had to stop playing junior football. He's 12 years old because he got a couple bad grades. And I saw my son's game, and he didn't tell me that he wasn't playing football. His dad told me. So when I approached him and asked him, I said, well, how come you didn't tell me you couldn't play football anymore because you got bad grades? He's like, well, I didn't want to talk about it. I said, well, think about this, because he's constantly telling me where he wants to play college football. And Penn State's one of the schools that he's bringing up. He brings up Miami. I said, well, tell me about the places that you want to play. And I said, well, now that you're not playing at this level even, you think it's going to be even harder for you to get to a Penn State or a Miami? So think about that when you're in the classroom doing your work. It's not just about the classroom and the bad grades you get now, but it's about your ultimate goal. So a part of that ultimate goal is to get to that level. And you can't get to that level if you're not playing now, and you certainly can't get to that level if you don't have the grades. So just keep that in the back of your mind when you're in the classroom. If you got good grades, great. If you need to work on your grades, start working on them. Thank you.
The thing I took the most from this movie was, although we're here talking about academics and athletics equaling success, and I agree wholeheartedly in that message, but the one thing that I took more so than anything else from that movie was how he was able to withstand everything. He did not allow...
Jump, jump! What you gon' do? What you gon' do? Let me know, girl, jump!